Pulp Fiction, one of my favorite movies of all time, is directed by Quentin Tarantino, and it's most notably starring Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta playing two mob hitmen, and it's also starring Bruce Willis playing a boxer who accidentally killed someone while in a match and is trying to get away from this group of gangsters who are trying to get revenge on him and chase him. This film is essentially paced like 4 episodes of a TV show being put into one film, and the way the story is structured and the way it's paced, and generally the way the dialogue is written too, I could not see a film of this pacing type being done any better, really. It's very difficult to go into detail on what's so great about this film without going into spoiler territory, but I'm going to try my best. Easily my biggest positive with this film is the screenplay writing from Quentin Tarantino. You can tell just from the opening scene alone that you're in the hands of a screenplay writer who knows what people would actually say in a certain situation, who knows how to write realistic dialogue. Just from the opening scene, you're getting two people, I believe a British couple, talking about how clever it is to rob a restaurant because nobody would see it coming. That feels like realistic dialogue. That feels like something people would actually say in that situation, especially for robbers too. And it's smart. And even when John Travolta is talking about what a quarter pounder with cheese is called in France, it's so simple, but it's so brilliant. Screenplay writing in this film entirely is so clever. I really love the story structure of this film too. There are certain things that they show you in the first act that they don't show you the entire thing, but they show more of it later, and they use it for suspense. But it's so brilliant in the way it does it. And this film overall is very suspenseful, especially the part of the story with Bruce Willis where he is playing Butch as a boxer and trying to escape that group of gangsters as they're chasing after him, trying to get revenge. That could have been a whole thriller film of its own, and it would have been brilliant. But the way it's tied in with the rest of the story, it's still really good. I love this entire film. There's not a moment where I really felt out of it. This is very well paced. However, it does take a pretty wide range of interest to appreciate this film as a whole, because a lot of this story is carried by really good dialogue from a pacing standpoint. But it's so good because it feels realistic. It feels like something people would actually say, as I said. And you actually feel engaged. You feel immersed in the film. You feel like you're really having a conversation with them almost. Like you're getting to know these characters. So you actually get invested in them. You're really caring for them. So even when they aren't building suspense or bringing sequences of action, they're still keeping you engaged with great characters and dialogue. I love the way that Marcellus Wallace is kind of the center of the story and the character that ties all these stories together. And I love how he is the villain in Butch's side of the story, and he's a character that's building suspense there. But he's also the hero in Jules and Vincent's side of the story, and he's the one watching over them and helping them, essentially. But they still manage to invest you in all three of the characters, even though they're essentially opposing each other. I don't know how Tarantino does it, but he does, and it's brilliant. I love the acting in this film, especially from Samuel L. Jackson. This is definitely my favorite performance from him as an actor, because he has a perfect balance between being intimidating and also being really charming and charismatic. There are moments where, even when he's talking about a Hawaiian burger, he still manages to come off as really intimidating. And he manages to build suspense with his acting too. There's also moments where he's literally drawing a gun while he is referencing a Bible verse about God's wrath. But he manages to be so intimidating with it through his eye movement, his really haunting voice, and everything. He never misses a beat. His acting here is so brilliant. And his chemistry with John Travolta is also really good. Whenever they're having a conversation about something, it feels like a real conversation between two people. And it's so engaging and immersive, as I said. It's one of the big strong points of this film. I also love the use of lighting in this film, especially during the car ride sequences where they use some really low-key lighting, where they put emphasis on their faces. It feels like a noir thriller, and it's so brilliant. I also love the camera work here. It's so smooth, and the angles they use during the sequences of dialogue also tell a story within itself. And there's also some really smooth POV tracking shots. Well, not just POV tracking shots, but tracking shots in general. All the camera work here was so good. I loved the cinematography here. This film is actually number 8 in the list of top rated movies on IMDb, and for good reason. This film is a masterpiece. I'm giving Pulp Fiction, an A+. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this review. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video.